Recording is in progress, and so is the progress of our abilities today. So welcome to coaching, everyone. Thanks for spinning another one bites the dust. Joe, I actually see that baseline in my head. You know, EEGA goes up to B and C on the second go around that riff. Great baseline, and it's all about the bass in my world. in my world. Well, welcome to coaching, everybody.
When you get your first tattoo, Will, that's what you're going to get, that baseline tattooed on the forearm?
Yeah, sure. When I get my first tattoo. Okay. Yeah, no tats for Will. I might be talked into a temporary 2-week tat or something like that. Anyway. Good morning. How's everybody? What's the weather like look, it's raining in Conwood Heights. Very gray. How's it down there in Moab, Rach? You sunny? You blue sky?
Sunny, blue sky. It's gorgeous. It's probably going to be about 70, 75 today. Beautiful.
Nice. Awesome. Love it. How about Logan? Kim?
We are gray and cloudy too. It's been raining the last couple of days actually. So I think it's starting to clear up a little bit now though.
Yeah, I love it. I haven't had sprinklers on for coming up on 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and grass is so green. Hey, Bill, how's St. George weather? I can't hear you. Unmute.
Blue skies, 80 degrees today, about as gorgeous as it can get.
Oh, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it is a great time of year down there. Hey, Ramon, what's it like up in your neck of the woods? Is it cold?
Well, it's not snowing, so that's good. It's raining and it's a little cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go from snow all the way down to summer still in St. George, Moab, and we're all over. So pick your destination today, wherever you'd like to be. It sure is beautiful up there. We were in Park City in-person meetings yesterday, and wow, the drive up the canyon was unbelievable. Just hope no one's taking that for granted. Those colors were phenomenal. A little white on the top of the mountains. Took a few pictures. It was great. We were able to see Pendry yesterday also. If you've never been taking a tour of the Pendry units, but they're fantastic, just amazing property. How the other class lives. We were in a $4 million unit, and I'm like, yeah, this is nice. Be a great way to spend the holidays. Hey, today we're going to talk all about pricing. How many of you got my email? I hope you printed out. If you did, we're going to make some notes today. If you printed out the outline of the mastermind discussion, I want to add a few more pieces to it. I'm going to have marketing put a final touch on this, and this will end up in the coaching manual. And my goal here is to do one more print of the coaching manual in probably a year from now. So we're going to gather up. There's been a lot of edits that I've gathered so far. So I'm going to kind of take us through a couple of places where this discussion has touching points with already data and content in the coaching manual. Okay. So we'll be in, if you have your coaching manual handy, we'll be right there at those pages in Working with Seller, like page 93. Kind of hop around a little bit in there. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you this and downloading these ideas. So let me get a running start at this. Those of you who participated in the in-person Zoom, thank you so much. And for those who were on Zoom last week, I know that was kind of a tedious process. You couldn't hear a lot of the discussion. I knew that going in, but didn't want to entirely just cut off the Zoom last week. So today we're going to just review these two important questions that we put brain power to. The first one is, how do we know our listings are overpriced? And the second question is, how do we have conversations with our seller? These are simple questions with really complex answers. And how many of you have the outline? Do you have the outline handy you can make some notes on? Yes? It was in your email. You can go ahead and print it out, and we'll make some notes there. So you know how this masterminds work. We really just debate this from a lot of different points of view. There were 18 people in the room in person here. I know that we had about 30 something on Zoom. I was able to copy a lot of the input. So for those who typed into the chat, I hope that made it in. If you see something that was really material and it did not make it into the outline, please let me know or unmute and let's make the edits just right here. So the first question is, how do we know our listings are overpriced? It occurred to me that there's 3 different points of view that I guess we can leverage it against days on market. So out in my column here, I kind of wrote days on market versus 3 different issues. So days on market with offers, days on market versus showings, and days on market versus competition. So what we're suggesting here, the day we went on the market, we start tracking and continue to track. We did our CMA, right? We did all that. We took our estimates. They set the price. And now we've hit days on market started on this day. And we're going to start tracking number of offers. Clearly, if it hasn't sold at 0, or maybe we had offers we didn't like, or maybe we had counter and we didn't work out. So that's something to consider, right? And then how many showings are we getting within a time frame? And notice in your outline there that the number of showings within a time frame, perhaps it's 10 showings in 30 days for some kind of, maybe that's a middle point, but for some price points, if we had 4 showings in 30 days, we'd be doing great. Another product, we'd want 20 showings. So it kind of depends on the product that we have, and all kinds of different factors like seasonality, the price range, and buyer pool. That is item 1 in that section A there. So next one is to consider the accounting for showings. Of course, we can get some data from showing time, which is going away, by the way, or align programs, which can give us real data that we can pull out. It says this number of showings that we've had. And then we've got competition. So we've got A, B, and C there. Study the results of competition over time, particularly actives that moved from active to under contract. It's a huge, huge eye-opener. Steve Chin has a background in accounting. So in his mind, he suggested that we organize this on a spreadsheet. And for those who love Excel, here's his idea there is in 2. We use categories such as amenities or features or square footage or area. And in my mind, we've been talking a lot about the factors over, my goodness, the whole year we've been talking about the factors. If you take price, location, and features and amenities and combine features and amenities 1, you can see how that would line up on a spreadsheet. All right, so here's our price competition, and then have all those listed out. And then I would have everything that's in my my location competition, and I'd have everything in my amenities or features list, right? That's that competition. And now I can get a visual as to what's going on. And this is, guys, as an addition to any other CMA you may run as you're down the road, say 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days on your listing. So let's talk about this for a minute. I'll kind of just pause my thoughts. So to summarize, there's 3 different points of view that should be analyzed versus our days on market: the number of offers, the number of showings, and the competition's history or results within that time frame. Any additional thoughts on this to that point? I'm curious, how many kind of already have this as a practice? You're already doing this, John? Good. Bill, yeah? Okay, let me move on then. Consider, so item D there is consider using potentially a linear graph example. If you want to go to the coaching manual, let me show screen. Start sharing screen. We'll stop others' computers sound. Continue. I guess so. Okay. Couple of things. Yeah, this is kind of where this is described in the coaching manual. So this would be page 94. The idea here is that this would be just a linear graph. According to Steve Chin, I actually have not done this in Excel. If anyone's an Excel expert, please unmute. But from what I understand is we can set this out and it will be put into a linear graph. The idea here is to take the middle of the graph and have that be your middle price point, and then list out the competition, particularly what's gone on with actives under contracts, right? I mean, if we have sold, that's interesting to know because we did not know what they sold for. So maybe that's the next most important group. If their one's expired, that also tells us that they're too high. You can kind of see the example of what the idea here is. The expireds would be too high. The actives are right behind them. The under contracts are a lot more competitive, and the solds are more competitive. So you can kind of see, and then you say, well, if we just go up the graph, then we'd say, oh, look, you know, if we were below 760, then we're going to end up being in the under contract and sold group. That's the idea here. And if we were over 780, 790, we start to see that we're too high, or maybe those price points are 50,000 increments, or maybe they're 20,000 increments. So that's the idea of that item on D on the handout. Okay, stop share. So for a sec. Let me go back. I think I want to share this one. Let's see. Let's see. Can you guys see now the notes? Is that a yes, you guys? I can't hear.
Yes.
You got it? Okay. So that's what this is here. That consider using a linear graph under contract solds, land. Visually, this shows the importance of matching the prices of those that are under contract versus those that are active or expired. Okay, that's the rest of that sentence. The next piece that came up in this discussion was whether or not it was debated whether or not we should be at 599 or it should be 600,000. One viewpoint was here: if you're at 600,000, you've straddled the search group. But the counter argument to that was, well, that's only material if there's a bottom to the search price. So if someone said, you know, give me everything from 600,000 to 700,000, the 599.9 will not show up in that search. But if someone said, give me everything from 0 to 700,000, then it does show up in the search. So it's something to consider. I have noticed that some of our agents right now are using price points that can straddle different search groups. So it's something to consider. And the last one here is that, remember, we're talking about price adjustments. Price is only one factor, although it can make up for other factors. Make sure you've memorized these, right? So location, condition, features, amenities, market, marketing, availability of financing. You know, these are all the factors. So price that can make up for those. It may be a process of elimination. I mean, if it's not condition, maybe it is price, right? If it's not location, it's not selling, then it is price. And that's kind of the idea. All right, before I move on how we're having the conversation with the seller, stop sharing for a second. Go to, in your coaching manual, go to the page 93. I'll see if I can find it for you guys, page 93, and I'll pull it up here. I was thinking about when we're having these discussions with the seller in the initial listing presentation is kind of steering this focus to you know, how do we get out ahead of this? You know, how many of you would agree that this is a very awkward conversation or a tough conversation to have if the property just hasn't sold? It's been 3 months. And you haven't set an expectation that we're going to come back and review data. I'll agree that'd be a very hard conversation to have, right? So when's the win, I guess, is what I'm wanting to ask you guys. So here is how I would look at a listing presentation broken up into phases of the conversation. You know, we're making a connection in the beginning. We're asking a lot of questions. This is all discovery. You know, we become an expert on the property. We start reviewing statistics and data. So this is Moxie, CMA. Then we start talking about solutions and marketing and exposure and the importance of that. So, because here we've discovered problem, these are solutions. Marketing, answers the questions of exposure and what are the features of the property that need to be emphasized. We do the numbers here. This is equity versus costs. This is a net sheet. Remember to, you can have title company partner to provide these. That's the best, best tip there. And then of course we're closing, we transition into the service of the listing. So when do you think in this timeline is best for us to have this conversation about these three reports: days on market versus offers, days on market versus showings, days on market versus competition? When are we going to show these reports and this data, and where do we talk about it in the initial listing presentation? Where should it land? Where do you think you want to have this conversation? So let's start with maybe some of the easier things. Are we having it here? No. Yeah, we're not. This is just, how's the family, the Ford, how's your family, occupation, recreation, dreams? How's life? That's all here. Maybe what's the purpose of the move is all going on here. So we're not having it there, right? Do we have it in discovery? Where we're finding out, tell me about the property. How long have you lived here? What improvements have you made? Who was the contractor? What did it cost? Right? Are we doing it here? Probably not there. How about when we review the statistical data about the value of the property? Could it be done here? It could be. This might be a nice tie-in because the data is the same data, right? I mean, the data we've already pulled can be pulled again in 30, 60, 90 days from now. So it probably lands somewhere around in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm making an edit to this, and I'm going to put a little line down here, and I suggest you do the same, that says we set an expectation to review market response. So I have market response data and reports right here. What'd be awesome is to show a sample of what you have already done on a previous listing or what you intend to do in the future. So for anyone who thinks this is an awkward conversation to have, we just removed it because we're saying if the property does not sell in 30 days, what are we likely to do? Right? Yeah. What are we likely to do? Now, so what's our plan? Because here we asked, when's your time frame? Like ideally, when would you like to close and move? And they told us, and we wrote it down. And then we're saying, all right, let's talk about what the market's telling us today. And we have a price range. And if it has not sold, what's the market's telling us then? So let's go back to the handout. Can you guys see the handout still or no?
Yes.
Now you're seeing the handout? Okay. So now I'm moving on to how we're having this conversation. And the first thing is to set the proper expectation with the seller in the listing presentation. Everyone agree? Like, wouldn't that be great to say, these are the reports that we will pull 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now? And then now, so you're setting an expectation that we're going to review this. I think it's important to teach sellers that the market is a moving target, isn't it, Travis?
It absolutely is.
I mean, do we have the same market today we had 6 months ago?
No, Will, we certainly don't.
I love these marathons of life, these ups and downs, and it's awesome. Find out what we're made of. So we're going to share showing reports, views, competition results. That's another aspect I don't want you to miss. There are systems that you can find the views report. So that's another thing to show. We might be able to dive into that into the weeds a little bit better in another discussion. And so we may calendar this right from the start and say, okay, in 30 days from now, let's anticipate that we'll be sharing this data. And then we calendar that date with our seller. this came up as kind of it's all the way down here at the bottom, but I think this was a little bit of some things that are out of our, look, the market's out of our control, but even more specifically, there are some micro markets. How many of you experienced this? Where some over-aggressive seller hit the market with a really low price. And you went, what were they thinking? Right? And of course, so I think we have to recognize and teach the sellers that other sellers may be a lot more motivated, even desperate to the point where they've really come down an enormous amount, and it might have an effect on us. Okay. Nevertheless, we have pricing decisions to make versus what based on what the data is telling us. Obviously, the best kind of meeting is in person. Duh. And here we all have Zoom, right? So,
Hey,
Travis, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. May I make just a quick comment?
Yeah.
So we've had this theme going on for a while, and we talked about it last week, as well as, the hero and villains.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at the 4 bullet points, the market can move, sharing showings and viewings, expecting reports, and then micro markets. We in our world, we often talk about those conversations, those weekend conversations with clients, and we have to have those conversations about how the market is moving and educate ourselves on those things in our world, because those questions typically come up on Monday mornings, right? And it's a typical question every Monday morning. It's not, maybe not this week or maybe not next week, but every week we have to continue to go back and have those conversations about how that might be different. And the point that I'm getting at is there are several different climates or markets out there. When you look at our potential buyers, or even in those examples, sellers, they have to sell a home before they buy one. And the difference of what their sell price is to what their purchase price may be, the market impacts that greatly week over week. So I think, we should be having those conversations consistently with our buyers and our sellers. Both are in the same bucket, is my point.
Yep. If we've done this right, Travis, our agents and our brokerage should not be to blame.
Correct.
Right? Okay, we are not to blame. Okay, even if you looked at our job as to market is still, if they were all even, and they're not, it's only 1/8 because there's 8 factors. And marketing is only 1/8. There's things that we cannot control. So education and communication is so important here. And if you're already behind the 8 ball with your seller, have the discussion right away and say, let's review the data. Let's just review what's happened. I think they would be, a lot better to deal with when they understand just what's occurred. So as rates tick up, buyer pools shrink, buyer pools change. Competition is telling us who's selling. Days on market is climbing. So, right, just from the county standpoint, most of our counties are near 40 days on the market. Okay, remember when we were like 12? 8? So the market is a moving target. And if you ever get caught saying, well, you told me when we listed, right? You told me something when we listed. Well, when we listed, the market was that. And now the market has changed. It's moving. Right? And here's how it's moved. Travis.
I'm sorry, just one more comment there. I thought I saw James out there somewhere, but James made a really good point when we were in our strategy sessions, our breakout sessions. And he and Tyler both said, look, we talk about the market with there he is, James. If I mess up your quote, buddy, please correct me. But the gist of it is I have these market conversations with my sellers at my first interview, right? And again, James, correct me if I got you wrong on that, but I thought it was really interesting because it's the market environment. Everything that you're talking about, Will, and those breakout sessions, those masterminds, was talking about those nuances in each one of those intervals, setting up those conversations before we have to make those decisions 30 days from now.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's such a key. We have to have this in the listing presentation. So
Hey,
As we-
Will, can I make a comment? Sorry to interrupt.
No, please, Kim, no one's interrupting. Thank you. Go ahead.
I took one of the mandatory core classes last week, and the presenter gave us a list of, they interviewed people who had used a realtor and asked them what was the benefit of using the realtor. What did you feel like they provided for you that you could not have done on your own? And before she put up the answers, I kind of thought maybe, they were going to say something like, well, I had to have a realtor to get us into the home. So like access to the home, right? But the number one answer that they got out of these participants was ability to navigate the home buying process. Excuse me. So I thought that was awesome. And I just, sat there thinking, this is why it is so vital that we stay educated and current and on top of things. Like, this industry changes so quickly, and it's constantly changing, that if you miss one meeting or one class, or I don't know, it's just, there's always things changing. The state will come out with a revised addendum that's changed that if
Yep.
you weren't paying attention, you didn't realize they added verbiage in there, or they took verbiage away, or and so that was the number one thing that was so important to the public, was that our knowledge and on current matters in real estate. And so yeah, it was just, I was glad to see that they recognize that value. That was cool.
Yeah, in the coaching manual, there's the survey that NAR does. It's the home buyer survey that asks questions like, most important factor choosing an agent. Why do sellers choose the agent they choose? And a lot of these answers about, like navigating the transactional complexities are showing up in these answers. And I think it's a really, really good reminder that this is what they're saying to us. It is really complicated. I mean, there's villains everywhere, right? When we talk about complexity in the villains, we talk about solutions. That's how we build value, and everything is changing so quickly. I mean, in the last, say, 30 days, we have produced new disclosures for buyers and sellers regarding the risks of seller financing. We've put some no-goes out there, like there are some minefields that we do not go across related to seller financing, right? And we're dealing generally right now with a seller group that is more frustrated than they have been in quite some time. It's hard to put exactly, it's certainly within 5 years. It could be longer. So, when I think about the realtor, it's football season, so I can't help but think about some sporting analogies here, because we're, the villain is the opposing team. What are we up against, right? And I'm probably going to bring this up in a couple of discussions this week in Old Mill. I'm going to put together an agent group. Matter of fact, if anyone's really, really interested in being a part of just an agent committee, there's 3 or 4 issues that Old Mill's trying to solve right now. Like, for example, do we need a physical tour? Stuff like that. I don't have all the answers, but the working together as a team and the role that we play, a good realtor understands how to use the resources of everyone around them, because there's no way we're going to have the deep verticals needed to address various issues in every category. Right? So we utilize our partners. We utilize those around us. Some on our team are really amazing at digital marketing and print media and design, and others are legalities and lending issues, title issues, transactional deal doctoring. I mean, there's so many, staging. There's so many different things that we come across in this business. And frankly, I think it's why we're worth every penny. We're worth every penny. Well, let me go back to this and share the screen again on the the handout. If you want to remember just one thing, I'd remember this quote right here. The wisdom of the market is more accurate than any other opinion of value. The wisdom of the market is more accurate than any other opinion of value. Is it more accurate than the seller's opinion? Yes. Is it more accurate than the CMA you did? Yes. Is it more accurate than what the brother, the neighbor, the friend said? Yes. Is it more accurate than the appraisal? Yes. Because look, the market can tell you what's going to be happening as sold comps. An appraisal is only sold comps. If we take showings, offers, and competition and put them against our days on market since we started, it's going to open our eyes, and the wisdom of the market will accurately price our properties so they get sold. So the final tip here, these last couple of tips are really, really important ways to, not have to be, I guess, daily saying what's happened on the market. Set your seller up on Real Scout, and they will get property alerts that are similar to the seller's property. This is huge. A little time investment here, and set them up, and they will be getting property alerts. If you do not know how to use Real Scout, is Jill Stringham on? I don't see Jill, but Jill will either A, coach you one-on-one. And a little confession here, I'm not the master of Real Scout. So yesterday in our leadership meeting, I said, Jill, I need to be an expert on Real Scout. Can we make that happen? And she said, of course. So she will coach you one-on-one, or we'll have various coaching sessions on Real Scout, and Jill is your gal. Okay, I should make it very, very easy for you. The last one is to just simply show the competition, which is, hey, a couple listings came up in the neighborhood. Have you seen them yet? No, I haven't. Well, I haven't seen them either. I've seen the pictures. Would you like to go see them with me? And then we can go educate ourselves on what our competition is. So I think the number one takeaway is the wisdom of the market. And when that was said in our group, Travis, you were there, James is there. I was like, whoa, that's a keeper. And I will never forget that. That's a great way to say it. The wisdom of the market is more accurate than any other opinion of value. The other thing that's a huge takeaway is when we have these discussions with the seller and setting the expectation, and we do that in the listing presentation, that we are going to review reports into the future. Any other comments on that? Let me show you a couple more things where this kind of ties in. So we talked about, let's see, I'm gonna move this. Is that looking okay, everybody? Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So we talked about the win, and it being right about here is when we're gonna say, here's some sample reports, okay? 30 days from now, we will review these reports. So I love that tie-in. The other tie-in to what we already had was this linear graph idea. I'd love to see someone do that, by the way, using Excel. And then skipping through to, I want to go past some of these points. Hold on one sec, guys. Almost there. Right here. Okay. So ways to improve your marketing presentation. 3, explain shifting challenges. So this is a good thing to review. Shifting challenges, like the market is a moving target. So we have to track it as we, from the day we list, right? Okay, another one is if you go to page 107, will my property sell? This particular section is seller questions you must answer. Well, I'm going to edit this too. So will the property sell? And then what do we do if it isn't sold? Okay. So this is where I'm going to make an edit. And so you could write this in. If the property is not sold within a time frame, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to review these reports. So I'll expand this answer here. Okay. I just put in my notes, see mastermind discussion. Okay, last one, which again, this is already in the coaching manual, but here it is. Our study of the market does not end when we get the listing. Isn't that what we're saying? It's frankly, it should get even more emphasis, right? More emphasis. There's a lot of different statistical ways you could look at this. In this section, I'm contemplating like the chance of selling. So I can take the number of solds, I'm sorry, the number of actives and combine them with those that are under contract and get a ratio, right? I can track my showings. This is again, same kind of discussion, track competition, already in here, already there. Maybe I'm highlighting this because if you are disciplined enough to attend coaching regularly, and if you are disciplined enough to use the resources like what's in the coaching manual already, you're going to find you're going to be well out ahead of everybody, you guys. Way out ahead. Okay. All right, let's go back to our two. Oh, Elizabeth, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just put in the chat. So I understand when you're saying, the market's a moving target, but the tendency where the market is going, like, I hear people saying the market is trending down. Because it's not when you say moving target, it's not that if the price is going up, the price is going down. It's a tendency of it's either going down or going up. Is that correct?
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun right now. Let's just do this. List everything in 2023 that has changed in the market. Put it in the chat. Everything that's changed, not just pricing, because that's Elizabeth's question. So can you guys think of the things that have changed? What's going on? Yeah, rates. Okay, the obvious one. And what effect has that had? Travis, you must have, like, what has changed in 2023, making the market a moving target?
Well, several things. If that's a real question you're asking me,
I know that's a real question.
So the biggest thing that has moved is
Nisha, the weather
rate,
was crazy.
right? 2s and 10s inverted, guys, and that puts pressure on interest rates, and the government is competing for securities and capital, and that drives up mortgage interest rates, right? So there's a bunch of different things that impact mortgage rates, but that in itself is the primary benefactor, right? And the best way to look at that and the pressure that is put on mortgage-backed securities is by looking at the 10-year treasury on a daily basis. And it is the conversion between a 2-year spread and a 10-year spread. That's why the 10-year is so critically important when you're thinking about mortgage-backed securities.
So as the first domino falls of interest rates changing, right, and climbing, then there's other dominoes that are falling behind that. Buyer pools change, financing options are changing, emphasis in financing like rate buy downs is a change in the market. We weren't talking about this 2 years ago. We weren't talking about buying rates down. We are now. We're really talking about concessions right now. We're noticing that builders are outpacing projections because they all have concessions built into their pricing. So
right.
that's a big part of the moving. So yes, rates might been the first trigger, but there were other dominoes that are starting to fall that make the market completely different.
And one other thought there. I'm sorry, Will. I apologize.
That's okay.
But to that point, I want to take it back to your coaching of this morning. And again, those 4 bullet points of market differential and how that market starts to change, and those micro markets. You may be in an area where it has a high percentage and concentration of builder, and those builders are offering those incentives where your current client may not be, right? And that's gotta play a factor in your graph. What is my competition doing in my current local that could potentially impact my seller's ability to sell in comparative approach, right? Do I need to offer a concession? et cetera.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So a lot has changed. It's not just pricing. And in some markets, our prices are very stable. And in some cases, some markets are even gone up. You know, last time we had an in-person here, the poll was simply, how many of you in the last 30 days had multiple offers, either you wrote and were competing, or that you were the listing agent and you received multiple offers? And there was a dozen hands that went up. By contrast, I said, how many of you got a listing that is still on the market after 90 days? Okay. And then most of the room, their hands went up. So we're kind of all over the place right now, which is why it's so important to emphasize the study of the market more once we get the listing than when we took the listing. Okay. Let me show you this. So again, in the coaching manual, page 113, ways to thrive in this market. Number one, positive mindset. Okay. Be a calming influence, but things are changing. Yes, we have answers. We can help guide you. We can help you. Take care of yourself. You know, lower your stress, exercise, eat well, get sleep. Okay. Take some time to study. Great way to take care of yourself. I mean, Warren Buffett. Yeah.
Number two in that, what I was talking about earlier was bringing peace of mind to the client.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I like that, what you said. What was it on the list?
Yeah. Be a calming influence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no sense in throwing gas on fires. I mean, let's put the fires out, you know, let's calm people down. We have the answers, but you got to get serious about this. You know, we've been saying, you know, getting real about real estate is really about being honest about the details and honest about the villains, honest about the complexity, because there's really a lot of things that we kind of just go, well, you know, we just don't give it attention. And then people just don't get it, right? We have to slow down and we have to take the time. So yeah, and then look, understanding and mastering the factors. I hope all of you right now today could, without looking at any notes, write down, and there's actually 8, write down the 8 factors. Okay. If we were together in a room right now, I'd have you turn to the person next to you and give them the 8 factors. Okay. Price, location, condition, feature, amenity, market, marketing, and finance. That's the 8. Memorize them. Okay. And then be honest about estimating days on market, comparing data to 2019, especially when it comes to equity. If we've trended down, let's say we even trended down 10% in equity in some markets, how much are we up versus 2019? You know, isn't that a more truthful way to look at equity? There's going to be a roller coaster ride in some cases, in some micro moments of time in different markets. So why not be more broad and say, yeah, but since 2019, you've owned the home since 2016, 2019, look at the trends. I mean, we've got an enormous amount of equity still. And then here it is, study the market's response after we take the listing. Views reports. I mean, you know, people say, I don't know if I should sell then. Well, they go, well, if I can't get, how many of you had a seller say, if I can't get? Everyone have that? I know you have. I know you've had a seller say, well, but Peter, if I can't get 1.7 million, I'm not going to sell. Okay. What do we do then? Go back to their why, right? Go back to their why. Then why would you want to sell in the first place? What problems were we trying to solve? And if they're worth solving, then price is only one factor in the decision on why we sell. It's not the only factor, right? In making the decision. I think too often we look at residential real estate more like a stock to be traded instead of a home. And if I'm moving right now, I'm doing it for good reason. So maybe we need to come back and counsel with them about the reasons. This is the human side of us, right? And then if it's not worth it, well, then it's not worth it. And we move on. We're there to help them anytime they need real estate help, when they're ready. the thing that you can always celebrate is whether or not you improved your relationship with someone. I really can't just hang my hat on closings. I can't hang my hat on whether I buyer brokered them. I can't hang my hat on whether we listed the property. I can't hang my hat whether the offer got accepted solely on that. I can always be proud about doing the right thing and building a relationship with someone, regardless of outcome. I can always celebrate that. So make sure when we're thinking about how we're judging and comparing and tracking and measuring our own business, that we don't forget that fact. All year I've been saying in 2023, if your income is less than 2022, 2023 could very well be your best year. And it has nothing to do with your income. Matter of fact, most of the best years of my life have nothing to do with income. Right? So again, like number one, have the right mindset. How about this perspective also? Right now is the time when it's tough. Think about the people in your life that you love the most. It was because they were there for you in the toughest times. Our seller clients right now, if they're stressed and frustrated because their homes are not selling when they wanted them to, it's costing them money. It's stressing out the family. There's uncertainty in their world, and you're there for them. They'll never forget it. Ever forget it. They will refer you over and over and over again. They will be your biggest champion. They'll say things like, you have to use Casey. You don't know Casey? Let me introduce you to Casey. I'm telling you, you'll love her. She's so good. How do they know that? Because how you were when it was tough. Yeah. Let's go, coach. Let's go play. I'm ready. I'm ready. Anything else to add to this that would help the group? Rachel, you got anything? I wish you were in person last week. It would have been, I'd love to pull the gems out of your head. Bill, you too, and so many good veteran agents, been in the business a long, long, long time, that I know you must have something to add. Anything to add? Bill Hobson, St. George, Rachel?
I wish I had something to add. I just don't have my good presentation face on today, I don't think.
Oh, okay. All right. How about Maura? I see Maura, you're on your phone. Another veteran agent with Brookshire. Maura, you got anything to add to this discussion about pricing or anything like that? No? Hi, Maura. You're Can you unmute?
Hey, Will.
Yeah.
If you are not taking advantage of this slower market to make yourself a better agent, you are really missing the boat. So I've had agents come into me, I'm slow, I don't know what to do. There is never not something you could be doing in real estate. There is always something you should be doing. So if you have no clients right now, there is a plethora of other things you could be doing to either become a better agent and more educated, and become that go-to person that they think of when they need someone, or out doing all the things to get other other clients. Like, there is never not something to be doing. That's my opinion.
I share it 100%. Travis, don't you? We talked about this yesterday.
We talked about it yesterday, Kim. It's as if you were in the room with us. It is, guys, when times are slow and when they're difficult and they're challenging, it's iron sharpening iron. You become such a better professional. It challenges you to think outside of the box, to be creative, to engage with your partners. You become a better professional all the way around. That's what we coach our team on. Will, you and I had this conversation yesterday. Kim, high five. That was fantastic.
Hey, Will, this is Julie. Albert, can I just share?
Hi, we're getting some feedback from you. I don't know if you have another microphone on in the room.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Hear you. Great.
Okay. So I just wanted to share, I've only been here 4 years, but a couple of my listings, one sold in, 2 days, 12 offers. The other one in Sugar House, 30 days on the market, lowered 50 grand and it hasn't sold. But reaching out to all the other agents at our company and asking for advice and feedback, I had so many veteran agents that took the time to reach back out to me and let me know, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do some curb appeal. Why don't you put some flowers here? Why don't you, dress it up a little bit here? I had, oh my goodness, Julie Livers and Mara Powers and Bettina. I mean, so many people reach out and give me the time and actually go over there and give me advice. Also with my remarks on the MLS, how to change them up. And just by reaching out to all the agents through email or by calling them was great, just to have different eyes on the property and great veterans that help me. So that's a good thing. Our team, to just reach out to everybody here, it really helps. It's helped me for all the years I've been here, just asking people for help. So
I love
here's
it.
my 2 cents.
I really love to hear that, and warms my heart. I just think that's so fantastic. We have such great agents who care about, what's in it for the agent helping other than to give back, right? And to appreciate that when they get helped. And I just couldn't, that's the kind of stories that I love to hear.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
and we need each other right now. I mean, this is why we're kind of contemplating the value of the personal tour, the in-person tour of property, to get the feedback on pricing, to share opinions of other agents and get traffic in a property that's not moving. We need each other for that. And that could be complicated. Look, this is 33 years of real estate for me. I own 10 years. I own my own company. It's like we're going back to deja vu. And I'm thinking, we did in-person property tours all the time. The challenge we have with them all the time is, unfortunately, they're attended mostly by the agents who have properties on tour. So, and that trend we need to change, because we need each other. And I think we can do that if we get our minds set right about it. So we're kind of contemplating that right now, but that speaks to what Julie's saying, is we need each other's opinion of value to help our seller clients. It's not just us. I really appreciate that.
Will, could
Yeah.
I say something?
Yeah, please.
Well, I've been studying axioms of people that are a whole lot wiser than I, and I've lately been studying Benjamin Franklin. He was a pretty wise fellow, and one of his quotes was, "When you are finished changing, you're finished," which speaks to that we need to have our sword sharpening tool out. We can always learn, and this is a time in the market when those of us who have been around a long time and have been through difficult parts of the market and dips over the years and the decades, we have to remember the things that we learned. And I really appreciate what you've said today, keeping in touch with our clients, keeping frequent lines of communications open with them. The worst thing we can do is have a stone wall and not talk to them when they're wondering daily, hourly, what's going on? Why hasn't my house sold? What's up with the market? They need news. We're the professionals. We need to be sharing it. And if we can learn anything, that's what we need to be doing. And we need to be doing it frequently.
Yeah. And that is a change. This is not something we got we got out of the habit.
We did
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. In 2020, we stopped that habit of reporting on the data because the homes were sold and under contract so quickly, and there was no need for it. So we got out of the practice. It's time to continue to change and evolve and improve. And right now that's really needed. And what's going away is objections to commission. So that's a good thing. Like, I haven't heard anyone say, "Oh, when the house sells over the weekend, are you still worth $30,000 of commission?" Haven't heard that one lately. So yeah,
We're needed again. We're really needed.
Yeah, we're really needed. And I think that's very well said. Bill, thank you for that. If you guys don't know Bill Hobson, he's one of our veteran agents down in the St. George, Washington County area. Just a fantastic agent. So get to know him. And he, boy, I asked him the other day, because I have a house down there. He's a history buff of that area too. I asked him about water, and my goodness, what a great conversation. I went home, Bill. I want you to know, I went back and I told everyone in my family where the water comes from and the history of where water is harvested along the rivers there. And they were like, wow, where did you learn this? So thanks, Bill. Anybody else? We got just a couple more minutes.
Hey, well, I got a comment.
Yeah, please, Paige.
So last week on the mastermind group thing,
Yes.
Cindy, I think it was Cindy Urona was in our group.
Yeah.
And the question was, how do you discuss a price improvement with the client or the market? And she said that she goes the MLS, gets the last 10 solds, actives under contracts, calls the agents, asks them what their marketing was, what the feedback was. And then she pulls up the actives and takes her client and goes and walks them to see what their competition is. And I just thought, man, like, that is so smart, so simple, so basic, but it's just a little hard work. And, once you present those listings to your seller, it's, then they're like, gosh, this is 10 times better than mine, or whatever, you know what I mean? And then they're a lot more open to your advice of maybe adjusting the price.
Nice. I love that. Thanks, Cindy, for that. Cindy is one of our agents here in the Old Mill office, you guys, a great agent, and Paige is up in the Ogden office. So thanks for that feedback, you guys, and your effort on that. I wrote that down, so I'll get that, make sure that is in the modification of the handout. So, okay, well, you know what? Let's go about our day and go out there and leverage all of this heartfelt love for people to help people, and your expertise and the wisdom you learned today, and to go out there and help somebody with their life. And that the fulfillment of that will always be better. And remember, you have a friend in me.